I had to talk about a story that's very, very important. And albeit indirectly, it involves Caitlin Clark, the Department of Justice, and quite possibly the President of the United States himself. Somebody got to say it, so I'm going to say it. Ms. Clark's targeting may reflect a culture of disparate treatment, and the evidence provides reasonable cause for a federal probe into potential civil rights violations.
Stephen A. Smith just sounded an alarm that should have every WNBA executive on edge. He's not just ranting about bad calls, he's calling for federal investigators to step in over what's happening to Caitlin Clark. This is the same Caitlin Clark who single-handedly sparked a 601% surge in merchandise sales, tripled franchise values, and pulled in 1.29 million all-star votes, yet somehow ranked 9th among guards in player voting. Something doesn't add up, and Stephen A. says, it's time for the government to get involved. If you agree, drop a Protect Caitlin Clark in the comments. Let's go.
The golden child, in her second year in the league, who was top 4 in MVP voting last year, the assist leader last year, a galvanizing talent that has done wonders for the NBA. If she is seen to be physically getting abused on a basketball court in a way that is such a clear and flagrant discrepancy compared to what happens to others, that man is not going to say something.
You know what makes this whole situation downright infuriating? Let's start with the money. Caitlin Clark didn't just join the WNBA, she became its economic engine overnight. The numbers aren't just good, they're historic. Exponential spikes in merchandise sales. Fever viewership tripled. Total league viewership doubled. Team valuations tripled. And league pass subscriptions skyrocketing 366%. These aren't small upticks. These are the kind of seismic shifts leagues dream about, the kind that should make a player untouchable.
Caitlin Clark has done for the women's NBA what Michael Jordan once did for the NBA. Made it more valuable, watchable, and marketable. Instead of protecting its transformative star, the league's leadership ignores the relentless targeting of Ms. Clark, treating its greatest asset as if she were a PR headache. That approach could turn into a legal liability for the WNBA.
Clark has pulled in over $11 million in endorsement deals and driven WNBA app engagement up an astonishing 613% numbers the league has quite literally never seen. She's not just another star. She's a one-woman economic shift, single-handedly reshaping the financial landscape of women's basketball. By every measurable metric, her presence has triggered massive, unprecedented growth.
Since she joined the league last year, Ms. Clark's impact has been seismic. Merchandise sales soared 601%. Indiana Fever viewership jumped 170%. The team's value tripled. League pass subscriptions climbed 366%. App engagement rose 613%. And her endorsements topped $11 million. She's the economic engine driving the league forward.
But here's where the story takes a dark turn. Instead of protecting their golden goose, the league let her take an unprecedented level of punishment. The stats are damning. Last season, Clark absorbed 17% of all flagrant fouls in the WNBA, more than double the rate of any other player.
Let me tell you what kind of quotes Trump would lead on. Sophie Cunningham told the Wall Street Journal, she's Caitlin Clark's teammate, the Indiana Fever, the star player of the league is not being protected. Rebecca Lobo, analyst, ESPN, what does she say? Every single one of those plays against Caitlin Clark has been a foul.
Think about that for a second. The player generating the most revenue is taking the hardest hits, and officials are somehow letting it slide. You've got defenders taking cheap shots at the woman who tripled franchise values. In contact that would trigger an immediate whistle for veteran stars is suddenly ignored when it's Clark on the receiving end. The film makes the pattern impossible to deny. Hard fouls that should be ruled flagrant, blatant targeting waved off. Late hits met with nothing but continued play. The league's most valuable asset was being treated like a practice dummy while the officials turned a blind eye.
By the way, when she was out for the All-Star weekend this year, because she was hurt, by the way, because of the roughhouse tactics all of those folks alluded to, the ratings dropped 36%. They still had over 2 million views. They had over 3 million last year. It dropped because she wasn't playing. Now, I told y'all, Candace Parker tried to tell y'all, Rebecca Lobo is trying to tell y'all, the goose that lays the golden eggs, the tide that lifts all boats.
This isn't bad luck, it's a blueprint for self-sabotage. When the player responsible for rewriting your revenue record book is also the one eating twice as many flagrant fouls as anyone else, you're not just failing at officiating, you're failing at business. This is where incompetence meets insecurity. Instead of shielding the athlete who transformed their financial model, the WNBA let jealousy, resentment, and petty locker room politics dictate the on-court reality. They watched the face of their league get systematically targeted and did nothing, as if protecting their star would somehow be unfair to the ones who couldn't match her.
Do you know what Gino Auriemma said? He said she's being targeted. I don't remember when Michael Jordan came into the league, guys looking to go out and beat him up. Only the Detroit Pistons were looking to beat him up. And then after that, the New York Knicks with Pat Riley and Ewing and Anthony Mason and Xavier McDaniels and Charles Oakley and all of these guys. The John Starks of the world, Derek Harpers of the world eventually. Stuff like that.
Stephen A. Smith didn't just take a shot at the WNBA. He cracked open a door that should have every league executive, including Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, losing sleep. When Stephen A. shifts from heated sports debate to openly suggesting federal intervention, it's a clear signal that this has blown past the boundaries of basketball. This isn't just about missed calls anymore, it's about whether the league's leadership is capable of protecting its biggest star, and by extension, its own future.
Ms. Clark's targeting may reflect a culture of disparate treatment, and the evidence provides reasonable cause for a federal probe into potential civil rights violations. Am I making it up now? Remember I said this months ago. Remember I talked about people being jealous. The Cheryl Swoops of the world and others. Remember I pointed that stuff out? Remember I talked about the rough housing? This would mirror the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission investigation into the Erica Hamby's pregnancy discrimination claims against the WNBA and her team. Congress and Labor and Justice Departments would be justified in examining the facts. You don't think Caitlin Clark could become an issue of national, potentially international, and definitely federal proportions? You don't think so? Senator Jim Banks' 2024 letter to WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert demanded answers on Ms. Clark's treatment. Congress and the administration should demand answers from WNBA leaders, investigate officiating and internal league communications, hold hearings, and insist on real reforms. This is in a Wall Street Journal. The Labor Department should review the league protocols for workplace safety. If evidence shows discrimination or retaliation, the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division must act. If leaders remain inert, Congress should reconsider the WNBA's special privileges, including its antitrust and broadcast considerations. Checking referees' work with NBA-style last 2-minute reports would be a meaningful first step toward building trust. But 17 flagrant fouls have been called against people for beating up on Caitlin Clark. That's practically double what's happened for any other player in the league. They have evidence to say she's being treated unfairly. That was the first salvo. I'm not asking you. This is Stephen A, baby. I'm telling you. It's the first salvo. It's not an accident that this is coming shortly after the WNBA players foolishly wore those shirts. As Candace Parker pointed out, pay us what you owe us, antagonizing the league, with pending CBA negotiations coming. Dick Vitale, when the 1.29 million All-Star votes came in for Caitlin Clark, yet she was ranked 9th among guards on a player ballot. Quote, absolutely pure jealousy that the WNBA players voted Caitlin Clark the 9th best guard. Someday they will realize what she has done for all of the players in the WNBA. Chartered planes, increase in salaries, sold out crowds, improved TV ratings, etc. And they ain't lying. And those players that are talking about their value, what's going to be held against you is looking at your value when Caitlin Clark is not playing. And when you see a precipitous drop off, it ain't going to be about y'all. It's going to be about her. Even if it's wrong, even if it's unfair, that's how it's going to go down. And when it goes down like that, that's exactly the kind of ammunition that the president will use to his advantage as he so sees fit. Some of it, Caitlin Clark brings on herself because she talks, she chirps, she antagonizes. That's how Angel Reese became so famous, because Angel Reese clapped back at her the way she was clapping back at people leading into that national championship loss to LSU a few years back when she was at Iowa. And that's how Angel Reese became famous. Treatment towards this golden goose, a spectacular talent that is one of the preeminent futures, if not the future face of the WNBA, if she isn't considered that already. And Caitlin Clark, who also happens to be white, playing in the Midwest, with evidence of unfair treatment.